During this time of the season, I get a lot of emails from people asking me, Pete, what should I do when somebody comes up to me and says, Merry Christmas? Or they give me a Christmas card or a Christmas gift. How should I react? How should I respond? Other people say, Pete, my wife or husband, whatever the case may be, they still celebrate Christmas. And they want to go see their family at Christmas time. And I'm married. I'm obligated. She's my wife. Or my parents still celebrate Christmas and they want to see me at Christmas time. And they're my parents. I'm obligated. What should I do? How should I react? How should I respond? Well, number one, do you want people to be kind and respect your religion? Well, of course you do. So you should do the same. Respect, be kind to them. Say to them, if they say Merry Christmas to you, say thank you very much. Or just change the subject, say, wow, this year went by really, really quickly. Just respond in kind. Don't respond like a religious fanatic. Just respond with kindness and respect and say thank you very much. Now, what about this thing where you're obligated to go because of your wife or your parents, and you're obligated to go? What should you do? Well, if they insist that you come to see, because they want to see you at Christmas time, if your wife insists, your parents insist, I want to show you this scripture in 2 Kings, the 5th chapter. Here we see Nahum, who was cleansed of his leprosy by Elisha, the prophet, and he converted to Yahweh. He was convinced that there was only one God, and that was Yahweh in Israel. And he says in verse 17 of 2 Kings 5, he says, For thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but the eternal. So he's going to just worship God, the God of Israel, and that's it. And he's not going to worship any pagan gods. But then he says this in verse 18. He says, In this thing the eternal pardon thy servant, that when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon, this is his master's religion, to worship there, and then it says, And he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon. When I bow myself down in the house of Rimmon, the eternal pardon thy servant in this thing. And look what Elisha says. He says, And he said to him, Go in peace. Elisha agreed with him. Now, does that mean he was worshiping a pagan god, even though he just swore that he's going to worship no other god but the God Yahweh? What does this actually mean? Well, notice what it says here. He says, And he leaneth on my hand. He goes into the house of Rimmon, and then he says, He leaneth on my hand. What does that mean? It means to execute his official duties. He was obligated to execute his official duties because he was high up. This man was high up in the government. He wasn't worshiping any god. He's just saying that he's got to execute his official duties to the state. And he bows himself down. And that means he's just showing respect to his master. Not to the pagan god, but to his master, because he was obligated to fulfill his duties. Notice what Lang's commentary says. It says here, He leaneth on my hand designates a service that pertains to a high official of the king. On occasions, when the latter bowed down or arose or performed any similar ceremony, this service was also executed in the court of Israelitish kings. This expression, He leaneth on my hand, you can read in 2 Kings 7 verse 2 and 2 Kings 7 verse 17. It means to execute one's official duty to the state. The urgency of the request is marked by the repetition of the words, when I bow down. And this means to just show respect. In Genesis 23:12, we see the same word used of Abraham, bowing himself down and showing respect to the people. And you see this all over the book of Genesis. It means showing respect to his master. So it says, the meaning of this request is, when I, in the execution of any duty, accompany my king to the temple of Rimmon and bow down when he bows down, then may that be pardoned me, and may I not be regarded as worshiping that divinity. I will not serve from this time on any god but Jehovah. Then it says this word, which is used of prostration before men as well as before God, and so in itself does not signify a purely religious act, like I said about Abraham. It means showing respect. For, if it could, Nahum would say in 2 Kings 5:18 the very opposite of what he had promised in 2 Kings 5:17. And Elisha could not have responded to the request that he might worship Ramon besides Jehovah with the blessing, go in peace. Lang goes on to say he, talking about Elisha, could not have dismissed him with an ordinary indifferent formula of farewell. That he admitted the correction and dismissed him in peace shows beyond question that he agreed to his request. The prophet Elisha agreed with Nahum. Now, Nahum was just saying that he's just showing respect to his state. He's doing his official duty, showing respect to his master and to his country. When he bows himself down, he's not worshiping any divinity at all. He's just showing respect to his master, to his country, and he's not worshiping any deity at all. And Elijah agreed with him. And Elijah said, go in peace. So if you're obligated to go because of your wife or your parents, and as long as you don't partake in any of the rituals and worship of Christmas, well, then I say what Elijah says, out of respect for your parents, out of respect for your wife, go in peace. Get that free booklet, Is Christmas Christian? Free of charge, off our website, britishisrael.ca. This is Peter Salemi saying goodbye, friends. I'll see you here next time on the Watchman Program.